I just generally pay attention to not eating junk. That's like the most important credo of my diet.
I'm basically just trying to get about 45 grams of protein per serving and 4 servings per day. Aim for 1 gram per pound, which would be 2.2 grams per kilo.
So I'm curious, what do you do when you just got to figure out a way how to ingest some protein?
Yeah, well, it's actually surprisingly consistent from day to day. I mean, I'm not really trying to recreate the wheel every day. So I like eggs. I do have I'm happy to talk about how I make my eggs, how I make my protein shakes, what my go-to protein snack is every single day. So that's 3 right there. And then dinner, which is the easiest one to hit because dinner is just such an easy meal to eat. And I'm just going to rotate through different types of meat or fish at dinner. So I'm always going to, I'm basically just trying to get about 45 grams of protein per serving and 4 servings per day. So it's really easy to get that at dinner. That requires no attention. The other 3 just require being a little bit deliberate with timing and delivery. So eggs, I always make kind of 7 to 8. And because I'm not trying to put on calories, like half of that is just white. So it's like 8 egg whites and 4 yolks gives me the right dose. My favorite snack is venison sticks. So, full disclosure, I'm a investor in a company called Maui Nui Venison, and they make just hands down the best sort of venison products imaginable. And so they make these jerky sticks that are just great. I love the taste, and there's nothing in them but, venison and pepper basically. So each stick is 9.8 grams. So call it 10. So I'll have 5 of those sticks as a snack. That's what I had just before we did our call today. And then a protein shake for me is 50 grams of whey protein in some cashew milk and a few frozen berries and a banana or something like that. So relatively low in calories, but just, very high in protein.
So what do I pay attention to? So I just generally pay attention to not eating junk. That's like the most important credo of my diet, I would say. And I say this as someone who's done everything, right? Like I've been vegan, I've been keto, I've been like the most, hardcore fasting, intermittent fasting, time restricted eating. Like there's no diet I don't think I've done for long periods of time. And I have found benefit in one form or another from various different aspects of these things. But, right now I'm mostly optimized around energy balance, which, stay in energy balance, and protein intake. And so most of my conscious effort around my diet goes into making sure I'm getting 40 to 50 grams of protein 4 times a day. And a lot of times, at least 2 of those are in meals that are just venison or just, eggs or something where it's just a protein and, there's not a lot of other stuff in it. I do make sure I stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. It really makes a difference going back to sleep that I go to bed a little hungry. If I ever go to bed with my belly too full, it feels nice, but I don't sleep as well. So I really try to err on the side of going to bed a little hungry. And that's, I'm really lucky because we have young kids, so we eat early. So we're eating at 6. So I'm going to bed typically with 4 hours between when I last ate and when I go to sleep.
We have all the data in the world to point to the devastation of sarcopenia on an aging population. And we know full well that 2 things have to be true to avoid sarcopenia. Adequate protein intake, which as you age gets bigger and bigger. That number goes up and up and up due to anabolic resistance, coupled with strength training. So here we have something for which there is no uncertainty. You must consume increasing amounts of protein and you must do strength training to ward off sarcopenia as you age. And if you don't, here's your mortality trajectory and it's awful.
And I think also that thinking about a lot of people are focused on the recommended daily allowance of protein, right? Like, well, then, right. Like, what are these old ass studies that were not done correctly using the wrong tracers? What are they like, what is that telling me about how much protein I should take in? And this is also another sort of change in it was a turning point for me because I knew nothing about the fault, the errors in how those
the recommended dietary analysis was determined.
No, I know everything about micronutrients and RDAs, but I knew nothing about the protein. And once I talked to Stu, I mean, it was it was clear, he was like, oh no, those we repeated those studies, him and many others, using different tracers. And I can't tell you all this, the tracers and stuff, because it's, it's not my field, but it was like, no, we determined that the minimum was really more like 1.2 grams per kilogram body weight, not 0.8. And to me, I was like, oh wow, because like you don't store protein. So it's like, okay, well, this is important, because that's a big difference. And then on top of that, when you start to get into the physically active people or elderly population, as you mentioned, anabolic resistance, where they're basically like their muscle isn't getting that signal, as well to increase muscle protein synthesis from the same amount of protein that their younger self would, right? So they actually need more of a dose, up to like, I don't know, 1.6, 1.8.
We're talking, we basically tell people aim for 1 gram per pound, which would be 2.2 grams per kilo.